Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Bre with Mayco, and I'm here on BITV to talk to you guys about stoneware gloss glazes. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to pull up the Go Live on my computer so I can figure out all your questions while we're chatting and doing the things. There we go, it's right there. Technology is hard. There we go. Okay. Pull up. What? Now we're getting all the things. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Can I see the questions? That's the real question, right? Okay. Here we go. I got it. Whew. So now that we've got the hardest part taken care of, now we can talk about stoneware gloss glazes. So I always like to start out every video that we're talking about stoneware glazes to go over what stoneware is, super quick and dirty overview so that everyone knows where we're at and we're all talking on the same page. So stoneware is anything that is fired to cone 6 or higher. So not 06, but cone 6. So we're talking about mid-range stoneware. Some people call it high fire, even though it's not technically high fire. So that's the firing range that we're talking about today when we're referring to the gloss glazes, and also a little bit later when we talk about stroking coat. So I like to get that out of the way super quick so that everyone can be on the same page. Margaret's here. Amy's here. Biscuit Imports is here. That's creepy because I'm Biscuit Imports. It's very weird. No, I'm just kidding. I forgot to tell you, this is my kitchen. Welcome. I mean, this is kind of the place where we have a couple of meals, but anyhow. So yeah, I have a dog. If she barks, just know her name is Paisley. I'll tell her to be quiet, but we'll go from there. So to start out with, the piece that you guys saw at the, I think probably the image that everyone saw, is this beautiful bird that is all done with gloss glazes. So these are glazes that are fired to cone 6, but keep their same look. They stay in the same spot as what you would expect from a stroking coat, but instead of a low fire glaze, it's mid-range glaze. This is a new line that we came out with last year, 2 years ago. I think 2 years ago. We added 2 new colors to it this year, which is this dark green color and the dark blue color that's on the back. And then I'm going to show you a whole lot more things that go along with it. But that's the glaze line that we're talking about. So it comes in, can you guys see that? Yes. So it comes in white, yellow, orange, red, purple, blue, green, the 2 blues and greens that we talked about earlier, and black. So with all of that color combination, you know, you're used to stroking coats that come in a ton of different colors, but the fun thing about these gloss glazes is that you can blend them together to make custom colors. So, let's see if you guys can see this. Hopefully that's going to be at the right spot. So this is the bright blue, this is the blue, and this is our yellow glaze. And this is what's called a line blend. So basically what that means is that this has 70% blue and 30% yellow, and this one has 70% yellow and 30% blue. Can you guys see this? Perfect. Okay, and then in the middle, it's 50-50. So you can do this with any of the gloss glazes. They're 100% mixable, which means that those, 8, 9 glazes that we have to offer you give you endless possibilities of colors that you can mix together. I picked this line blend because I love all of these colors. Maybe not yellow. Yellow's fine. But all of these colors are like top colors of mine. And so you have the ability to make a teal if you're looking to do something trendy and still brightly colored in the Cone 6 world. You're able to do that nice and easy, which is pretty awesome. I'm going to check the comments really quick. Amy says, hey. Yeah, so we have this also works for grays, like if you want to go from black to white, it gives you that whole color scheme. So basically it's a simple version of stroke and coat, which is nice at Cone 6, because traditionally these colors aren't colors that you're able to achieve at stoneware temperatures, which is just kind of mind-boggling for someone who's been in the stoneware world for a whole long time, that these glazes are pretty remarkable. So I want to give you a couple of showpieces for you guys to see how they work and look in real life. So these are both painted with the gloss glazes at Cone 6. But you can see the painterly quality that's in there. So that black of the line on these little leaves right here is super fine, crisp, and also full of detail that you wouldn't normally be able to achieve at Cone 6. I'm going to see if I can get this a little bit closer and still be in focus for you guys. Okay, so painterly quality, nice and easy. It can be one stroke. You can do 3 strokes for full coverage. It really just depends. You can also, please ignore my broken bowl, sad day, because he's the cutest little crab guy ever. But I broke him, sad day. But do you see the bubbles that are in here? That's the same bubble technique that you would do with a low fire glaze. You can do at Cone 6 with stoneware bisque and stoneware glazes. So these gloss glazes, really anything that you can do with stroke and coat, you can do with the gloss glazes, other than fire them to Cone 06. That you can't do. Okay, where are we at? Good. No questions so far, because I'm brilliant, right? Everybody paying attention? I like it. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is how stroke and coats work at Cone 6, and how at the end we're going to talk about how they can work together. So stroke and coats at Cone 6, Mayco has created 2 chipboards. I'm going to hold them up a little bit more so you guys can see them for a second. So these chipboards, I'll put a link below on how you can see these, like up on your computer screen, up close and personal. So I don't need both of these up. Let's do this one, because this one's funner. Funner or fun? Either way. Okay, so the way that this chip chart reads is the top glaze, or the top chip is the low fire chip, and the bottom chip is the Cone 6 chip. So these are all stroke and coat colors. One fired to Cone 06, low fire, and the second one fired to Cone 6, or mid-range, or stoneware temperature. Okay, so look down in the reds and the pinks. So, what's that one? Pinky swear. So we all love pinky swear, right? But is pinky swear a stroke and coat color that you would like to fire to Cone 6? Let's look down below. If you would like a clear with a slight dirty pink look, then Pinky Dot, or not Pinky Dot, Pinky Swear is the glaze for you, right? But you're probably not going to want a color like that unless you're doing like the inside of a seashell, in which case go for it. But that's why we have the stroke and coat boards, so that you're able to see what each of these colors looks like at Cone 6 if you choose to use stroke and coat at Cone 6 on your stoneware bisque. Okay, no questions, good deal. So it's easy to tell what you can use and what you can't use at Cone 6 when you have those, but what do they look like when you compare them together next to each other? So I did some fun research, because you know, that's how I operate. And so I've got some test tiles that I did on a vertical surface, because stroke and coat on a vertical surface is going to move versus gloss glazes on a vertical surface are going to stay exactly where you put them. So, for example, I'm always going to keep the gloss in this hand and the stroking coat in this hand. So, both of these have 1 coat on the bottom and 3 coats on the top. So this is the gloss glaze, and this is the stroking coat glaze. Okay, so you can see how the stroking coat is a little bit see-through, it's a little fluid, it moved just a tiny bit, versus over here, you can see the gloss glaze stuck exactly where we put it, which is what it's designed to do, right? So, let's look at it when we try to cover up. So I did designer liner, wrong way. So I did designer liner, lines of black designer liner, and then I did 3 full coats of gloss and 3 full coats of stroking coat. So on the gloss, you can barely see the black full strength designer liner, versus on the stroking coat side, you can see those lines just as plain as day. And that's because the gloss glaze is designed to cover up whatever's underneath it, right? So we have to keep that in mind when we're trying to figure out what glazes that we're going to use and what we're going to use them for. So, for example, the layered gloss glaze and the layered stroking coat look very different. So I applied 3 coats of green glaze, this glaze right here, on first, and then I did 3 coats of the blue glaze over the top. So you can see the stroking coat kind of blended together and ran a little bit, which is really cute. But if you want to cover up, the gloss glaze is really what you're looking to do. And so you can see that you can almost not see the green glaze at all on the layered. So let's make sure there's no questions. So fancy. I am very fancy. Oh, you were talking about the mugs. Also, those are fancy too. Y'all need to do certifications on these. What do you mean by certifications? Painted colored ceramics. I'm interested. So in the comments, tell me what you're talking about. So let's talk about silk screening, because silk screening is something that is super popular in Paint Your Own Pottery Studios. It's popular in traditional ceramics. It's popular in custom work that people are doing all the time. My dog really wants to go outside. She's currently jumping on the door. Silk screens on a gloss glaze, with a gloss glaze, looks very similar to this, with 1 coat of the stroking coat, or 1 coat of the gloss glaze. The silk screen with the stroking coat, I'm going to hold this up close so you can see how fuzzy it got. That is not the camera, that is the actual glaze itself, because the stroking coat isn't designed to move, or isn't designed to stay put, it's designed to move when we fire it to cone 6, which is why we are using the gloss glazes, especially on a vertical surface. Make sense? Good. So, here's a finished piece of the yellow gloss. And these are oranges or lemons. I'm going to go with lemons because they're on a yellow piece. But that's what 3 coats of yellow gloss and a silk screen with black gloss glaze looks like. Pretty darn cool. Okay, we've got a question. My grandma had 37 certificates in traditional ceramics. Got it. You're talking about like so that you are certified to teach it. I see. We'll talk about that at a different time, not on the Scope Live. Okay, so what are we going to talk about next? What do I got? Another sad day. I broke 2 bowls in one day, guys. It was a rough day. I don't really want to talk about it a whole lot. But anyhow, here's the bowl that I broke. It's sad. But stroking coat does wonderful things in combination with our traditional stoneware glazes. So this is birch, which is a stoneware glaze fired to cone 6, and then this one has dots of 98 and dots of 74. Intermixed on the inside. Do you guys see that? And so in this case, we're taking advantage of the fact that the stroking coats run to mix with our other traditional stoneware glazes that are also fluid to make what you could consider to be like a semi-flux. A flux is anything that makes stuff a little bit more runny than what it normally would. And so this is a great way to add bright color into some of our more traditional stoneware glazes that are a little bit on the more, not mute, but earthy colors, more traditional stoneware, high fire, mid-range colors. Okay, so that's one possibility. And the second possibility, this, we haven't talked about this yet, guys. My favorite of all of the stoneware glazes is sea salt. I have a love affair with sea salt. It's a pretty open, known thing. I love all of the stoneware glazes, but I especially like stroking coat, or not stroking coat, I especially like sea salt, and I like it with stroking coat. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because I love stroking coat and I also love stoneware, and so if there's a way that I can make something that looks as beautiful as this with two of my favorite glaze lines, then by golly, I'm gonna do it. And so that's basically what this is. And so this is 2 coats of sea salt, and then 2 coats of SC6, SC97, and SC75, layered on with a nice fan brush. So sea salt is a crystal glaze, and those crystals kind of bloom through the glaze that's on top, which is creating those amazing, that amazing movement that's happening in there. I'm gonna show it to you guys up close. Hopefully you can see it. It's kind of dark in my kitchen right now. Sorry, can you mix color into the flux? Or just put flux on it? So we didn't really talk about flux, at the actual product, in this series of videos. I don't have those samples with me. But what we're doing is using stroke and coat as a flux, not adding it to flux. So you wouldn't want to add stroke and coat to our product called flux, because you're messing with the chemical composition of the glaze or of the flux itself. But what you could do is layer your stroke and coat on top or underneath the flux, a light flux or a dark flux, if that's what you're looking to do. Yes, this sea salt with any stroke and coat is fantastic. I also really like it with blues or blues and greens together. It's amazing. I didn't bring that sample. It's probably in my kitchen cabinet because I often use it a lot. Ooh, got some questions. Boo, 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 boo. Perfect. Less coffee, less dropping. I actually only drink decaf for that specific reason, because otherwise I would just be a mess. Could you imagine all of my energy also with coffee in it? Ugh, that would not end well for anyone. So, stroke and coat with sea salt, but also stroke and coat with any of our stoneware glazes. Are always going to do interesting combinations, so we recommend that you test them to make sure you know what they're going to do. The only one that you don't have to test, because I already know it works, is sea salt. There's also a whole list of other ones. Alabaster, because alabaster is the base of sea salt. Birch, I know, works well. And those are the only ones I'm going to go on record and tell you that you can use, because those are ones that I know work 100%. Okay, so I've got other fun things for you guys. So it's June, so I made beautiful rainbow tumblers. But I did something kind of interesting with these. These took me forever to paint, and if anyone knows me, I don't actually love painting. I love the idea of painting, but the physical act of painting, I get bored very quickly. So I love you guys this much that I made not one, but two, because they always look cuter in a set. Okay, so I'm going to explain what I did on these mugs, just so, I'm going to take a picture of them to post afterwards so that you guys can kind of see them up close. What's the easiest one? Okay, now stick with me here, because it's a little bit confusing, but I'm going to explain why I did it afterwards. Okay, so at the very top of the red chunk, the top is gloss, red gloss, and then underneath that is a red stroking coat. It's SC74, right? Hot tamale, okay? And then right under that, I did orange appeal. I think it was orange appeal. It's an orange stroking coat, definitely. And then underneath that, I did the orange gloss glaze, okay? Then right next to the orange gloss glaze, I put the yellow gloss, which you can see doesn't move a whole lot. And then I put yellow stroking coat next to that. And then next to the yellow stroking coat, I did, that's SC6, Sunkissed. Whew. And then next to that, I did sour apple. And sour apple is right next to the green gloss glaze. And then next to the green gloss glaze is the blue gloss glaze, and then underneath that is Blue Yonder, one of the favorite colors in the world. And then right next to Blue Yonder is not Grapple, maybe it was Grapple, I could be wrong. And then underneath that is purple gloss. Oh my goodness, I did it. And I don't even think I messed it up, which is impressive. But the reason that I did that is because I wanted you guys to be able to see what it looks like when you butt two gloss glazes right next to each other versus butting two stroking coats next to each other. So the perfect example is here, between the blue and the green gloss glazes, there is a straight, fine line where you can see the difference between the two glazes, right? There's no intermixing. Versus here between the yellow and the green, it's kind of muddy. You can't really see what's going on. You don't really know where one starts and one ends, which is beautiful if that's what you wanted to start with. But if that's not what you wanted, you're going to be upset about it. And so that's the important difference that we want people to know between the gloss glazes and the stroking coats, is that they all work at cone 6, but they do very different things at cone 6. So on these pieces, I splattered them with light flux, and then I splattered them with black gloss glaze, just to give them a little bit of visual interest. But for the most part, all of the movement that you're seeing on here is all from the stroking coat moving and the gloss glaze making it stay where it is. Okay, let's see if there's any last questions. Oh, Peacock apparently is a stoneware gloss, or a stoneware glaze that works well with stroking coat. I would believe that as well. Okay, so before I head off, are there any last questions about either our stoneware gloss glazes or stroking coats at cone 6? So yeah, I mean, I can answer any of those questions. You can also put them in the comments below, and I can look at them and answer those questions at a later time as well. So let's see if there's any last ones. Nope. Okay. It's been really awesome talking with you guys today, and I hope that you are enjoying the beginning of summer and keep making cool stuff. And if you don't currently do stoneware, it is 100% worth it to figure out how they work, what's going on, and make it work in your studio, in your home studio, wherever you're at, because it's pretty awesome stuff. See you later!